You said I'm driving a vehicle. Yeah, you need me to stop? I mean,
I need you to stop, sir. I can't have you driving
give me
while
15
you're...
seconds. I can pull it back up to my family house.
No, I can't allow you to proceed while you're driving a vehicle.
No, I'm saying I'm parked. I'm pulling up parking now. I'm parking, right? 5 seconds. Okay, I'm done, Your Honor.
You recall in reviewing your business records if a foreclosure was conducted with regard to this property?
Yes, it was.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Okay, overruled. You may respond, sir.
On what grounds? So I could maintain the error for the record when I appeal this, if this don't go accordingly?
Okay, it's a business record, sir. That's an exception from
first-hand knowledge. Was he there at the closing table?
Doesn't need to be, sir.
Your Honor, it seems like you're practicing law from the bench. I'm gonna respect your courtroom, but I disagree. I would disagree as tremendous. So, okay. Court reporter, can you please note that the honorable judge, I'm stating he's practicing law from the bench without facts.
But your objection is part of the record, sir. All right. You may continue, Mr. Dewar.
And is this a true, correct, and complete copy of the sheriff's deed of mortgage foreclosure, to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
And is this sheriff's
objection, Your Honor? Can he vow to that under penalty of perjury? That's the original document.
Your Honor, he stated it was to the best of his knowledge.
No, under penalty and perjury, can he contest that that is the original document with the wet blue ink signature? Penalty and perjury.
All right, sir. That's not the question. The question is whether he can identify the document.
Under penalty and perjury, can it be yes?
Sir, you have to stop interrupting.
Penalty and perjury.
You can make an objection, but once you've stated your objection, you have to stop.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
And for the record, Your Honor, I do have counsel coming for this next court date. They obtained, as soon as he get back in the country, he will be jumping in to take care of this matter further. So I'll ask if you just give my counsel some time before any permanent decision is made so they can review these books, all interrogatories, so we can make a fair decision. Because I'm not arguing it's a debt, and I've been trying to honor the debt, Your Honor. I'm not arguing that it's a debt. I done did everything possible to honor this debt. They have not been in compliance with it.
And Your Honor, I would object to that, given this would be our third hearing, and he had ample time to get counsel.
Objection again.
All right, let's take one issue at a time, gentlemen. I can't be expected to remember 3 or 4 objections all at the same time. I'm going to overrule the objection on the basis of a business record exception. As to the request to adjourn the matter for Mr. Bay to retain counsel, I'm going to deny that request. Mr. Bay is
on what grounds, Your Honor? Because I never got served directly.
If you stop speaking when I'm speaking, then I will state my ground.
In a bustling virtual courtroom filled with the charged tension of an upcoming arraignment, the screen flickered to life as Judge Harrison Cole, known for his calm yet firm demeanor, adjusted his glasses and began the session, completely unaware that the next hour would devolve into one of the most chaotic and bewildering meltdowns the court had ever witnessed. Across the gallery view, various participants appeared: clerks, attorneys, observers, and one particular figure occupying the lower right video tile. A man who identified himself not by the legal name listed on the docket, but by a self-declared sovereign alias. A man whose eyes flashed with a peculiar mix of defiance and frustration, sitting in a dimly lit car and streaming the entire ordeal live as he muttered commentary under his breath about corporate courts and fraudulent maritime jurisdictions, all while the judge patiently explained the charges laid against him, the need for appointed counsel, and the basic conditions of the hearing. Yet before the judge could even finish reading the first line of the formal complaint, the sovereign citizen abruptly raised his voice, interrupting with the conviction of someone delivering a manifesto, declaring that he did not stand under the court's authority, insisting he was a free-traveling entity immune to statutes, codes, and every conceivable rule of law, prompting the prosecutor, who had already anticipated some level of disruption, to pinch the bridge of his nose as though bracing for the storm he knew was inevitable. While the judge gently attempted to steer the man back to procedural reality, reminding him that the session was not optional and that yelling over court proceedings only delayed the inevitable progress of the case, but the man refused to yield, pounding his fist on the dashboard of his vehicle and proclaiming that the judge's words were null and void because he had never consented to participate in the judicial system. A declaration that grew louder and more animated as he accused everyone on the call, the judge, the clerks, the prosecutor, and even the muted spectators, of perpetrating an elaborate conspiracy designed to suppress his lawful sovereignty. At which point the Zoom chat began filling with small, discreet messages from baffled observers who couldn't decide if this was a legal hearing or an unintentional comedy skit, while Judge Cole, maintaining that signature calm exterior, leaned forward and attempted once more to cut through the chaos by simply asking the man to confirm his identity for the record, which only ignited the situation further as the sovereign citizen threw his hands in the air, shouting that he would not be forced into a contract nor tricked into acknowledging a straw man, causing his camera to shake violently as he shifted positions, sending the judge's clerk scrambling to mute and unmute various participants in a desperate attempt to reduce the escalating noise. Meanwhile, the prosecutor attempted to read from the statute relevant to the charges, only for his voice to be drowned out by an impassioned monologue from the defendant, now speaking at breakneck speed, about constitutional rights, maritime flags, gold-fringed banners, birth certificates as financial instruments, and a dozen other pseudo-legal theories, all layered into a breathless crescendo that left everyone else staring blankly at their screens, unsure whether to laugh or simply wait for the verbal storm to pass. And as his rant continued, his volume rising higher and higher until the audio clipped into distortion, he suddenly leaned toward the camera as if issuing a dramatic proclamation directly to the world. "You cannot adjudicate me. You have no jurisdiction over a living, breathing soul." A statement that echoed across the virtual courtroom with such force that even the normally unfazed judge blinked in brief astonishment, prompting him to momentarily pause, take a deep breath, and try once more to restore order by warning the man that he could be held in contempt of court. Though this warning only led to even more explosive reactions, with the sovereign citizen insisting that contempt does not apply to sovereign beings, and accusing the judge of committing legal treason, all while passers-by outside the defendant's parked car stared in visible confusion at the spectacle unfolding as the man waved his arms wildly in frustration, occasionally losing his train of thought and circling back to earlier conspiracy claims about corporate governance and maritime law. Eventually, in an attempt to salvage the hearing, the judge called for a brief recess, but even this procedural pause set the man off again, as he shouted that the recess was an attempt to silence the truth, prompting the judge to mute him temporarily for the sanity of everyone else on the call, leading to a strangely peaceful silence in which the participants exchanged weary looks before the clerk quietly whispered, "Is he still yelling? He's muted, right?" And indeed, even through the muted video tile, it was clear the defendant continued his monologue, punctuating every sentence with animated gestures as passers-by continued glancing over at him with expressions that ranged from amusement to outright concern. Finally, after rejoining the hearing post-recess and giving the defendant one last opportunity to answer basic procedural questions, the judge found himself once again interrupted by another declaration of sovereignty and refusal to submit to maritime jurisdiction, forcing the judge to rule that the man had forfeited his opportunity to voluntarily participate and would instead be assigned counsel and rescheduled for an in-person hearing. This decision immediately triggering yet another eruption from the defendant, whose meltdown grew so loud that his microphone crackled and distorted as he insisted that no judge, no prosecutor, and no legal entity could impose counsel upon him. A claim that ultimately fell flat as the judge calmly finalized the ruling and instructed the clerk to deliver the relevant paperwork, all while the sovereign citizen continued shouting into the virtual void long after the judge had exited the call, leaving the prosecutor shaking his head, the clerks exhausted, and the spectators thoroughly stunned by the surreal performance they had just witnessed. A courtroom meltdown so intense, so bizarre, and so theatrically defiant that it would inevitably circulate online as one of the most chaotic sovereign citizen outbursts ever recorded. A moment of pure, unfiltered courtroom chaos in which no amount of legal reasoning, judicial patience, or procedural structure could compete with the sheer force of the defendant's conviction in a worldview entirely detached from the reality of the court system he so fiercely rejected.